Hello, this is the intro to the actual show that I recorded like 3 days ago, so we'll try to make it quick. This week I went backpacking 2 different nights. The first night was a quick out and back because couldn't really do too many miles because I had a bigger plan for the weekend, but that was from, let's call it Wednesday to Thursday, and on Thursday morning I saw a black bear crossing the road when I was driving home. So that was awesome. And then I did a bunch of work on Thursday. And then on Friday, I went for my big backpacking trip. It was more, I guess they'd call it fast packing and FKT training, because I'm going to go after a pretty major FKT here in 2 to 3 weeks. But basically, I started on one side of the Madison mountain range, kind of by Big Sky, if you've ever heard of Montana. And I was going to cross the entire mountain range and end up at the Sphinx, kind of by Ennis. And then the next day I was going to fast pack, run, jog, hike, power hike, as the ultra runners call it, all the way back. So day one started out well, beautiful route, climbed straight up, pretty hot, did not gauge the water sources very well, so was continually playing catch up with water, chugging a bunch at a water source, and then crossing the crest of the mountain range and no water until I got to the other side. Anyways, the route worked out really good. A little bit of it was what I'd call hints of trail. Like the idea of a trail was there, but there was not a lot of actually hiking on the trail. It was very overgrown and hard to follow. So I kind of changed my route a few times, ended up with about a 46-mile day. But I was coming into kind of the Ennis side of the range, near the Yellowstone Club, which is where the rich people ski, like richer than the Big Sky normal skiing people. If you think skiing is expensive, the Yellowstone Club makes it more expensive. Like there is probably like a 1-to-1 staff ratio. People like carry their skis to the lifts so that they're ready to go. Anyways, near that area, was coming down into this meadow. No one was out here. I saw very few people the entire 46 miles coming down into this meadow, and I see this thing in the valley. Get a little closer, and about 100 yards away, I can see that it is a grizzly bear. 2 bears in 2 days. I think I found a grizzly down here. So that's pretty sick. Yay. So see the telltale hump, kind of different ears than a black bear. So for sure, grizzly. Get a little bit closer. Took some grainy photos, but by the time I got anywhere close enough to get anything good, he had run away, so that was good for safety. Continued on right near dusk. I was going to camp at this one spot, got there, didn't like it that much, and so I decided to do another 3 or 4 miles. And about a mile from where I was going to camp, I actually heard this crashing through the brush. Looked over, perfect telltale black bear right there. Big old cuddly face, ears, everything, just staring back through the woods. So that was pretty cool. He was not as willing to run away as the grizzly was, which is good, I guess. And then like 5 minutes after that, I'm climbing up these switchbacks to get up on top of this ridge that I wanted to camp on because it looked really cool. That's when I just see a moose, a big moose, a mama moose maybe, and a baby moose just on the trail, and they just scampered off. I don't know if mooses can scamper. They seem too big to scamper. But they like galloped or awkwardly ran off because moose are weird. So I saw that. Then the next morning, I'm just walking and I stare up kind of this clear-cut area, probably cleared by avalanche debris or something, and I see like 10 elk up there. Keep going a little bit longer, turn a corner after, well, I summited the Sphinx that morning. It's like 11,000 feet, pretty cool. And then came around a corner and look, and there is another bear just like 25 yards away, a cinnamon black bear. So he was pretty funny looking, and he ran away as soon as he saw me, so that was really good for safety. And finished that. That day was about 25 miles, got back to the car, and it's been like a 100-mile week. So hopefully ready for this FKT thing here in a couple weeks. So that's the intro. Let's get into the real episode that I already recorded. All right, goodbye. Thanks. Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the Free Outside podcast. This is the solo episode of the week. Coming out on Mondays, I get to share all sorts of things from stories to FKTs to news to maybe impressions to basically anything to try to convert more people into joining the Free Outside cult. So, just if you would like a meal, we got that. If you'd like to read a book, we got that. Audiobook, we got that. Website, got that. Movie, got that. Podcast, got that. They're all called Free Outside. That's how we vertically integrate and build our cult following. Anyways, it seems like everyone really liked the episode on setting the John Muir Trail. FKT, that record, diving into it, sort of just going into what it takes and explaining that. So I thought I would do that for a completely different type of FKT that I set. So here we go. Let's go back in time. Put on your time machine cap and prepare. We are going back to the future. We're going back to the past. Okay, in 2019, I went to Costa Rica, was there for my birthday, which would have been my 29th birthday, and stayed a few days on the Pacific side, went to a number of the national parks over there, stayed on the beach, and then went over to the Caribbean side. And this is when, instead of getting on the bus to go back to the airport and catch my flight home, I decided I would just stay in Costa Rica. So I did. I just let the plane leave without getting on and figured I would just get a plane ticket back whenever it felt like the right time. So I landed in this town called Cahuita. It's called the Little Jamaica of Costa Rica. It's on the Caribbean side. And I looked at Airbnb and I found this house that they were renting out a room. And I just walked over there because it showed the address. I just walked over there from that Airbnb address and talked to them and said I wanted to stay for at least a month. Could I just pay them in cash and not have them have to do Airbnb fees and me get a cheaper rate? So that is what we did, and that's where I lived. I took on 2 writing assignments during that month that paid for basically 2 times what I was paying in rent. So I just worked a little bit. I ran every single day. I actually only brought 1 pair of shoes to Costa Rica, obviously, believe it or not. But they were pretty worn out when I got there. And so once I decided I was going to stay for an indefinite period of time, I ran as many miles as I could back and forth on this 1/3 of a mile length strip of beach, sand. And so I would run barefoot just to save my shoes from getting worn out. It was a very much rationing my shoe system. So I was there for about a month, basically running every single day. I ran in Cahuita National Park. It goes along the beach, and there the capuchin monkeys will actually attack you if they even hear the rustling of a wrapper. They're so accustomed to stealing food and chips from tourists. And a couple of times I would be on a run, like 10 or 15 mile run, and have to eat there. And I'd pull out something with a wrapper, open it up, and a monkey would just like run out of the trees, sprint at you, and then go like, try to get that treat for itself. But anyways, after a month and a half, it was like, I probably am feeling ready to go home, but I want to do one last thing. So I thought about signing up for the Costa Rica Marathon. It's in San Jose, the biggest city. And I was thinking about it, but then I was poking around and I saw the tallest mountain in Costa Rica. It is called Cerro Chirripo. I probably butchered that. My Spanish is very rudimentary. But anyways, I saw that this mountain is like 12,000 feet tall, and Timothy Olson had the FKT on it. If you don't know Timothy Olson, he's won things like Western States. He's set the record on the Pacific Crest Trail, professional ultra runner, pretty well known. And it was like, well, I've wanted to measure myself against some of the best in this new trail running FKT sport that I've entered. So I decided I was going to go after his record. So I found the bus. It was all bus system to get around Costa Rica, and I took it to San Isidro de General. Who knows on pronunciation. So I took the bus. It was like 4 hours of just trying to piece together where to get off the bus, where to get on, all super affordable. Get there, had booked a place on Airbnb, but between the places, I didn't have any Wi-Fi or anything. So that was always tricky to connect with where I was going. And when I got there, these dogs in the next door neighbor's yard just were growling, barking, putting up a huge scene. So that was interesting. But anyways, got there, San Isidro de El General, and I wanted to go up Cerro Chirripo, which is in the Chirripo National Park. And so you have to go up there and get a permit to do the hike. I never saw any rangers when I was actually doing it, but I played by the rules because, foreign country. So the next day after getting there, I started walking. I saw that there was a bus and I tried to go catch it, but I didn't ever see it come. So I just started walking up the road. And before you know it, I had walked like 8 or 9 miles and done like 2,000 feet of gain, maybe 3,000 feet up to, where was it at? Like around Rivas. San Gerardo de Rivas is where the entrance station was. Went up there with my passport, walked the whole way, which was pretty bad idea if I was going to go for the FKT the next day, but I got my permit, had to show my passport, and then went back to my home, slept, got up at, 5 a.m., got the first bus up there, and I took off. So all I have in Costa Rica is the stuff that I came with. I have like my backpack that was pretty much just for travel. I could fit a water bottle in there. I think I had a rain jacket, a little bit of food that I'd gotten from the equivalent of Walmart, which was like a mile away. And so I took off with this, like a backpacking backpack that was really empty, so it jostled around quite a bit. The trail was really muddy and it was straight uphill. It was a very difficult climb. I mean, the entire FKT was going to be uphill to the top and then downhill right back down. And it always rains in Costa Rica. And this area especially is known for its ecological diversity. So I don't know. I just expected I was going to hit some major mud out there. And so that's kind of how it went. I climbed up and I made great time to the top. I was feeling good. And then when I finally there's this lake when you get near the summit. I passed it and continued straight up. This lake is, Lago Chirripo. So basically just named after the mountain. So the final climb from there, I'm just like huffing and puffing, breathing so hard. The entire thing had like 8,900 feet of elevation gain, almost 9,000 feet of gain in about 24 miles round trip. So that's 9,000 feet in the first 12 miles. So I get up to the top and it's like, I'm dying. I can't run down yet. On Chirripo, highest point in Costa Rica, no visibility. Should be able to see the Caribbean and the Pacific, but oh well. Maybe try to set the FKT on this solo run down, see what happens here. And I take like a 3-minute break. I set my watch timer, or at least look at it, and I'm like, okay, when I've had 3 minutes, my breathing will be better and I can run back down. So that's what happened. And then I started sprinting back down. I knew my time to beat. I was right on track. It was going to be close. Sprinting, just losing elevation, slipping and sliding in the mud. It is very tough. I ran out of water because I didn't even have a water bottle big enough to hold it. I had like a smart water bottle, so I had a liter for the entire 24 miles and 9,000 feet of gain, which did not end up being even close to enough. I get to there's like a little hut thing with 3 miles to go. I hit that, I pass it just sprinting by, and I only have like 21 minutes to finish at this point. And I throw down like a 7-minute mile and then like a 7:30-minute mile. And then as I can start seeing the road where the trailhead is, that's where my watch clicks over and the record has passed. I got down there and I missed it by like 2 minutes or something. I missed a record on a 24-mile route with 9,000 feet of gain. I missed by the amount of time I stood on top of the peak just trying to catch my breath. It was so sad. So what did I do? Well, I was going to do this record, and then I think it was on a Tuesday, and I was going to go and do the Costa Rica Marathon on Saturday. But walking down in disappointment, this really flipped the switch on everything. What I was going to do now was I was going to come back for this record. Unfortunately, I would need to come up the next day and get a permit, and then I would need to come up 2 days from then and go for the record again. But all it did was rain from that day that I barely missed the record until I was back up there to give it another go. I got the permit. I was feeling confident. Now I knew the trail extremely well. I knew when to push, when to power hike, as the trail runners say, which basically is just hiking / walking, So I knew that very well. And in those 2 days in between, I went to a little pop-up market thing and I bought a fanny pack. That would be where all my food went. And then I bought this like $1 handheld plastic water bottle that I would just run with in my hand and refill on the go there's like a spigot or something 3 miles in, or maybe it was just a creek. It's hard to remember. It's been some years and now I'm so old. But anyways, I had a water bottle that could be refilled easier, would carry more water combined with my other water bottle. So I could now have like 2-liter capacity. Maybe I didn't even refill the whole time. Anyways, doesn't matter. But then I wouldn't run out of water because I was just deathly dehydrated at the end of the last one. And then, so now I was ready to go. This time to get my permit, instead of being just mortified to ask anyone for directions or how to catch the bus, I knew where it was. So I took the bus up, saved my legs, didn't need to do any extra running or anything. So I had my rest day there, and then the next day I went for it. I caught the first bus up there and I started at 7:04 and I pushed really hard. It was almost an identical time to the top. Well, I was a little bit faster to the top the second time, but it was coming down that really made it for me. There was more mud, more everything, slipping and sliding. I fell multiple times, but I just knew that I had this goal. I was like 12 miles ahead or 12 minutes ahead of pace with just a couple miles to go. And that's when I just slid out, like I'm turning a corner and my feet just went to the side and I crashed down and I fell right on a rock. I still have this scar right on the front of my shin where it hit this rock. Over the next couple days, it would become infected. So I had to use the medical system, to the pharmacy to get some ointment in Costa Rica after that happened. But anyways, got to the bottom. It was like 6 hours, 17 minutes, got the record, 9,000 feet of gain, 9,000 feet of descent, 24 miles. One of the coolest things ever, because it just really showed me that even though I missed it by a couple minutes the first time, I was able to get that record the second time. And when I got back, I went into this cafe and I was soaking wet. It rained the entire time, which kind of made it more epic and fun. But I went in this cafe and, ate some food and was pretty comfortable sitting there eating, drinking coffee. And then when I got up and left, there was like this puddle that was like huge. It was, I don't know, like an entire liter of water was on the floor, but it was muddy water, just gross, dirty puddle on the ground under where I was sitting. And I felt so bad, but they assured me it wasn't a big deal. So I walked down, caught my bus, went down to San Isidro de General, and went back to bed. The next day, I took the bus up to San Jose, caught a flight home, and then a few weeks later, COVID hit. But that is my FKT story of the day. It really was a lesson in, at first I didn't have the right gear. I didn't have knowledge of what I was doing. I really just didn't have any pacing. At this point, I'd run one 50-kilometer race, didn't really know anything about trail running or pacing or training. And even the turnaround of still being sore when I went for the record the second day, just that experience, knowing what I was doing, getting the better gear, that it was a pink fanny pack for $5 or something, the equivalent of $5 that I bought that saved it all. I just bought like cookies or something was the nutrition, the extra water bottle, but it was fun. It was way more fun than a marathon. Even just failing the first time and coming back with renewed motivation to go after it and push up Cerro Chirripo was really awesome. So yeah, I think that just shows the lesson in perseverance there, and that maybe you start out at something and no idea if you can do it, but that's where you learn. Like, there's no problem in quitting. I don't know what they call it. I'll call it having one in the can, but I have an episode in the can about quitting and why it's not a big deal and we should all do it more. Because if we're quitting, it means maybe we're moving on to something we enjoy more, or it means maybe we took a risk and went out after something that's really hard and just learned maybe it's not for us, or that we have to go back to the drawing board to show up more prepared or something. But quitting or failing is part of taking a risk, and I fully support that. I mean, everything I've done, it's been very scary to voice things like quitting a job or quitting college or quitting an FKT or anything like that. But it's all part of being able to chase something that gets you a little scared, gets you those feelings. I mean, I go to therapy because I struggle to throw names on feelings anyways. So maybe this whole chase things that are impossibly hard or that take 2 different times, or just something chasing a record so hard like this one where I fell and cut my leg open where it got infected. So I think that's the overarching message of this podcast really is that even if you fail, even if you quit, even if you don't make it, that does not mean you can't do it. Like, that's part of the fun, the going after it, not knowing if you'll be able to do it or not. Like, my first 50K was so hard. And then I kind of unlocked all these new distances, and now I look forward to doing a 250-mile race every year. That's what I call it too when you progress up in distances. You've unlocked the new distance. You know your body can do it. You know your mind can do it. You know how it feels to go that distance, that duration, and what it's going to take. And I think even just gaining 9,000 feet in 6 hours, I guess, was unlocking a new type of travel or being a trail runner. The Strava post I put on this Cerro Chirripo FKT, I literally wrote, "I am a trail runner," with the emoji that goes like this. And then I wrote FKT, blah, blah, blah. So I think it just had to show myself. I mean, I showed up not knowing if I could do it. I was trying to beat the time of a professional trail runner. Wasn't sure if that was even possible. I didn't know anything about trail running. I was new to the sport. So it was pretty cool to validate that. And it also took 2 times. Like, I could have just failed the first time and been content not ever going after it again. But for me, that renewed that motivation to go after it. So it is, what day will this be coming out? Monday, 5, 6, 7, 8. Monday the 8th. So we're like already in mid-July, in like 2 weeks from now, planning to go after a pretty premier FKT. So that's going to be fun. In the midst of training, the day I'm recording this, which is July 4th, I actually have like a 8-hour day planned, which is kind of fun because a couple of my athletes that I coach for, one's got an upcoming 50 miler, one's got an upcoming 100K, which is like 62 miles. They're both doing training camps too, so it's kind of fun to be getting to do a training camp as well for my own goal, while I got athletes doing everything from going after FKTs to very vert-centric trail races. So that's kind of where everything is at this week. I've gotten to go backpacking already this week and planning to go one more time, just squeezing it all in since summers are full of light here in Montana. It doesn't even get dark until like 10. It's like I can work until 7 and then still get out into the mountains backpacking and hike up an hour or two before it's even dark. All right, with that, I will free you all to go. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. We need those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you've only chosen to do one of them, we would really appreciate both. And with that, my friends, I will leave you with this. Stay elite, my friends. Goodbye.